Throughout time, roller coasters have come and gone. Only some become legends for their intensity and thrills. Each and every year, coaster fans like you venture to the parks, searching for that one special ride that stands out above the rest. You submitted your rankings, and now it's time to reveal the group of elite roller coasters that you have voted as the best of the best. COASTER-net Uncut is proud to present the 2022 Coaster Rumble.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Championship Week of this year's thrilling 32.
Danny Miller, the belt is in the building. The belt is off the wall. It's like
There
when the
it
Stanley
is.
Cup comes out, and they say the
That's right.
Stanley Cup is in the building. The belt is off the wall, and we are going to determine tonight who is on. That's upside down. We're going to determine tonight who is on those nameplates. We got and Danny, I'm going to be honest with you. We haven't changed these nameplates for as long as I can remember. These things are older than a lot, maybe people even watching the show right now.
Since you had that vacuum sealed envelope and pulled out those plates the very first year that we got the belt, those two plates have not come off. And
No.
the big question is, will we see either of them or maybe both of them come off tonight?
Well, not true, because we did have a Fury plate at one point.
Oh, okay. That's you're right. That's true. You are right. The
We
Voyage
did
one
have a
has never
Fury
come
plate.
off.
But the wood one has
forgot.
never come off of this belt here. That Voyage has been has rocked it since its inception. But we are here tonight to figure out what coasters are going to hold this belt for the next calendar year. And this is going to be a battle, I think, tonight. There's a lot of question marks that this is not an automatic given here. That we've got a wood coaster matchup that I think is like, the rematch, the rubber match, maybe even at this point. Who the hell knows anymore? But that one I think is pretty much, I think, settled in everyone's mind. Maybe not though. We there's some question marks there too that could come into play. But we have a steel matchup tonight that could go anybody's way. That I think is going to be really exciting.
Yeah, the steel coaster matchup I think is what everybody is waiting for. Because that's kind of the big thing here. The steel coaster, the new kid on the block, Velocicoaster, trying to take down the undefeated and undisputed champ this point in Steel Vengeance. Voyage and Lightning Rod, they're two outstanding rides. We've seen them go head to head for how many years in a row now. So it seems like we're just doing the same thing again here. Voyage and Steel Vengeance have been the pairs, the pair of champions for each of the last 3 years here. So we're going to find out who our wood winner is. We're going to find out who the steel winner is. We're also going to find out who our contest winner is at the end of all of this, which will be very, very nice. And then, of course, we've got the top 50 wood list and the top 50 steel list, which is perhaps the most interesting part of all of this, is finding out where all of those coasters that have caused chaos the last three to 4 weeks here, finding out the actual rankings, and then using that as a template going into next year's Thrilling 32, alongside some new rides that we may see. We talked last week, Iron Gwazi has now opened up to pass holders. We'll be opening up to the general public here very, very shortly. Pantheon will be opening up as well. Emperor will be opening up in a couple of weeks while I'm out in California as well. So definitely some contenders to join the fray next year. But we've got to settle this year first. So we'll see how that goes. So Andy, do you have any thoughts before we jump right into the wood championship matchup?
No, no, I don't. I want to get into this because this one, I think there are a few question marks. I think the natural inclination here is to just jump and say Voyage is your winner. I think that's the go-to. But I think there's been some questions raised over the last few weeks that we may or may not have covered on the selection show because it passed us by. But this thought of our people ranking Lightning Rod better because it's a better ride experience this year, but still ranking it as wood. And I think the natural assumption was, oh, people are just going to stop ranking it in the wood section. People are going to be like, oh, it's defunct, da 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 da. But I think
Clearly not the case.
Clearly not the case. It's here now. It's here in the championship, and it could just be a layover from previous years. People are just throwing it in there. Hey, it's in my top 5. It's always been in my top 5. I don't care if it's wood or steel. I'm going to put it there. Or are people actually ranking it better? Danny, I don't know if you can give us these numbers. And I'm looking at last year. And Voyage was 1, Lightning Rod was 2. Voyage had a 97.33 percentage rate. Lightning Rod has a 96.45 percentage rate. Are those percentages vastly different this year, since you probably have it?
Oh, do you want the percentages this year?
Yeah.
Bear with me for 1 second. I will pull up the file. Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
Yes, I will pull up the
So
percentages.
I'm curious to see, and I don't want to give it away, but here I'm curious to see if the percentages have vastly changed. Now, we also don't know if Lightning Rod is number 2. I would assume it is based on what we said last year. I don't think El Toro or Gold Striker are suddenly jumping up into the 2 spots. So I think we can safely assume it's number 2.
I'm going through some of the Thrilling 32 history on thrilling32.com. Let's take a step back here. Let's tell a story.
Oh, I love a story like Raptor does.
Yeah, let's tell a story real quick. So let's go back to the first year of Lightning Rod in 2016. 96.71.
Okay.
Voyage was actually number 3 that year at 95.35. Okay. In 2017, Voyage 95.54 and Lightning Rod 94.64. So so Voyage stayed almost the same. Lightning Rod dropped off significantly.
But that's not unusual in this poll, because first year wins, second year drops off.
Yep. Then in 2018, they were 1-2. Voyage jumped all the way to 97.51 to Lightning Rod's 96.92.
And so that's where the anomaly is here, because most of the time when these new coasters drop off, they don't hop back up. But Lightning Rod somehow did that.
Lightning Rod got a big kick, and in 2018, it actually had a higher percentage point at number 2 than it did in 2016 as the winner. So then in 2019, Voyage 97.18 to Lightning Rod's 97.14. The closest finish, I think, in Thrilling 32 history, at least on the wood side, was there. And then in 2020, last year, Voyage 97.33, so jumped up a little bit to Lightning Rod's 96.54, which dropped a little bit. Andy, I can tell you, both Voyage and Lightning Rod, those are the top 2 coasters once again this year. I will tell you that. I will also tell you that both rides saw their percentage go up from last year's.
What?
So both rides having better scores this year for the 2021 season than they did a year ago.
That's
so both rides are being ranked better by the collective voter pool this year than they were last year. And Andy, I've got another stat for you. I'm just double clicking through all of the previous wood rankings to confirm my suspicion, and I believe this is the case here. I just got to click on one more. Yes, indeed. Andy, this year's winner in the wood poll, the highest point percentage of any wood coaster champion in the 10-year history of the Thrilling 32 at 98.44.
And what's the second place at?
Second place is at 96.79. So within the realm of possibility for both of these rides from last year's scores, Lightning Rod could come up a little bit. Voyage could have come down a little bit. And Andy, I think I would have to crunch some numbers. I believe this might actually be the most decisive victory of any wood coaster in the history of the Thrilling 32.
This one's real tough for me.
Mm.
And I think once again, I think you naturally
because let's think about it.
I think you naturally go to Voyage being number one given those numbers. However, Voyage is kind of
here's the question.
That's the thing is like Voyage is kind of settled in, and it's hard to tell why Voyage would have jumped. However,
why would Voyage jump over a full percentage point?
Yeah,
because Lightning Rod at 96.45 to go up to 96.79, that would be within air. That's fully expected. Voyage 97.33 down to 96.79. That's within, just adjustment and voter numbers too. But Lightning Rod would have to jump essentially 2 full points from 96.45 up to 98.44. Voyage would jump over a full point. What reasoning is there for Voyage to jump that amount? I don't know that there is one.
But there's a clear reason why Lightning Rod would is the problem.
I know.
It's because it's a lot damn smoother, and it might be a steel coaster.
And we don't tell people how they're going to rank rides, what list they rank. We gave people the option. We gave people the option to rank Lightning Rod in either poll because some people might be calling it a new coaster. Some people might want to rank the wood version, even though they might consider it defunct now. There's a whole slew of options. So we left it open-ended. So is that factoring in here to maybe give Lightning Rod another championship here for the first time in 5 years?
Or, Danny, let me throw one more thing out there to you. Did our voters get smarter?
Well, then that would be the only reason that Voyage would jump that much, right?
Yeah. Think about it. We've been kind of being like, why are idiots doing this or that or the other? But maybe
what would magically make the voters smarter what would make the voters magically smarter in year 10, though?
I don't know.
Brainwashing?
Common sense. Maybe they stopped drinking. I don't know.
Well, if that's the case, then Manta and Raptor would be in the championship over in the steel side. Right?
I'm not convinced it's not going to be yet. So
well, we shall see. Do you have a prediction here?
No. I would say Voyage just because it's the right answer. Versus Lightning Rod. I think there's a compelling case there to say Lightning Rod.
Yeah. No, I think there really is. And for the record, Robbie Raptor selected El Toro, so he was out of the running for quite some time.
Well, yeah. He
right.
won. I think he won Jeff Goodman's poll. So
he did, and ironically beat out his daughter.
Yeah. So
because none of them had any of the correct coasters in these finalists.
Yeah, I didn't think.
All right. So the 2021 Wood Champion here in the Thrilling 32 Coaster Rumble for the Wood side is the Voyage from Holiday World. Once again, 5 times in a row, 6-time champion. Andy, that Voyage plate can stay on there at least one more year. The Voyage, the highest score ever in the history of the Thrilling 32 here. 98.44. Lightning Rod coming in at a strong second at 96.79. So once again, Lightning Rod playing second fiddle to the Voyage.
But Danny,
the Voyage is champion.
Danny, this story isn't over though yet. The fact that Lightning Rod, everyone assumed it would drop this year.
Very clearly not the case.
Very clearly not the case, and actually got slightly better. So this is going to be a real issue moving forward.
Yeah. And as more people perhaps ride the new version, because not many people
but Danny,
did.
I can't disagree having 2 steel coasters win both plates. So I can't disagree with that.
I mean, that would be your ultimate, right?
Yeah, because like honestly, like what better could you have than steel coasters winning the wood coasters? Okay, so that was
yeah. At this point, right? I mean, where else would you? I mean, at that point, I think I just have to quit.
Well, don't write checks that your ass can't cash. So
I said might. I said might. Okay.
To the steel side.
Yeah,
oh, here we go.
Side.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Here
we go is right. Andy, we've got Steel Vengeance, the undisputed, undefeated, all-time champion, has never lost in the Thrilling 32 under any format. It's one in the traditional format. It's one in the Coaster Rumble format, going up against Jurassic World Velocicoaster. Some people attaching themselves to Velocicoaster and riding this out here. And we're going to see what it comes down to here in just a minute. Whether the champ stays the champ. Everybody's had a crack at it. Untamed, Expedition G-Force, Fury 325, they've all had a chance at it. It's now Velocicoaster's turn to try and take down Steel Vengeance, where all of these other coasters in the past 3 or 4 years have failed. So what are your thoughts right now, sitting here waiting for this?
Yeah, I don't know. So last year, Steel Vengeance 99.37, Expedition G-Force 99.29. Super close.
Yeah.
Like
very close.
Like ridiculously close. 2019, Steel Vengeance 99.73. Untamed 99.62.
Okay. Just the scores are unbelievable.
Okay. Steel Vengeance in 2018, 99.72 to 98.63 against Fury. That was its most decisive victory in the first year that it opened. Not surprising.
Yeah.
But are we talking here? Like, we're talking Steel Vengeance undefeated. We're talking Steel Vengeance like a Goldberg-like run, but are we really? Is this a vulnerable champion? Is this a champion that has just squeaked by for a number of years? Decisive victory in the first year, but the last 2 years,
Untamed was really close, and G-Force was even closer last year.
Like talking about like I got a roll up in the last few seconds and put my foot on the ropes and got the pinfall and ran out with the belt. That's what's happening to Steel Vengeance here. Danny, I don't know. Can you tell us the percentages this year? Is this a close one? Or is this
I will. It is not the closest one in history, but it is close. Okay. So last year, Steel Vengeance was the winner at 99.37, and the second place ride, Expedition G-Force, not a factor in this discussion, 99.23. So winner last year was 99.37. Prior to that, it was 99.73 and 99.72. I think those are the 3 Steel Vengeance rankings.
A minuscule drop.
A minuscule drop.
Yeah.
This year's winner, well, let's start with this year's runner-up, 99.28. So basically an identical score to last year's
runner-up. Okay.
This year's winner, 99.42. So
wow.
Again, not the closest finish we've ever seen, like the 3rd or 4th closest finish. But again, last year Vengeance was 99.37. This year's winner is 99.42. It's essentially the same exact score.
So we also know that Velocicoaster is number 2.
Well, I didn't say that.
You didn't say that, but
So again, in order for Velocicoaster to not be number 2, something that Steel Vengeance beat on the way there would have to be
like Fury
number 2. So that means, well, it would have to be either Fury, or the only other option would have been the number 2 ranked ride in the Kernax group, which was Leviathan at Canada's Wonderland. Let's throw that out for a minute. So at this point, the number 2 coaster is either Fury 325 or Velocicoaster.
or Vengeance.
Or Vengeance, right? I mean, talking, if Vengeance wins, the number 2 coaster is either Velocicoaster or Fury. It's not G-Force, obviously. Velocicoaster is beating it.
Can you give us the percentages of the number 3 coaster this year?
99.04.
What?
Which is higher than last year's number 3 of Fury 325, which Fury last year at number 3 was 98.88. This year's number 4 is 98.97. So this year's number 4 is higher than last year's number 3 points percentage wise. So all of these rides are doing better than they did last year, just relatively based on where they ranked.
Well, that makes it even harder because theoretically
to put another thing in comparison here, last year's number 32 coaster was 93.14. This year's number 32 coaster was 94.44. So all of the rides are getting bunched closer together here this year. And I think that's a side effect of getting more voters, but also voters that have ridden more rides. The percentages become more minute. That's how the math works with the way this poll is run.
Wow, because that throws a whole nother level there of maybe Fury's number 2.
Right? Because last year
feels more correct to me.
Because last year Fury was 98.88, and then the number 2 this year being 99.28. That's not out of the realm of possibility at all.
It would feel, I don't know. Damn.
Because 2 years ago, Fury was at 98.62. So Fury's number actually did go up last year.
Whew. And you said what was the champion number again?
Last year?
No, this year. The number 1 ride has what percentage?
Oh, this year is 99.42. I mean, you're talking about fractions of a percentage point. This is like 1 or 2 people moving at 1 or 2 spots, maybe. Like that's what we're talking.
It's 1 or 2 people moving Velocicoaster over it.
Well, but the interesting about Velocicoaster is we don't have a comparison point, right? It's being thrown in. You don't have a number for it to go up or down, right? It's just getting a number. But the problem is all of these numbers here with the rides that ranked in those particular spots last year, it's all right within the realm of possibility where they can move there. So it's like Velocicoaster being in the finals. And if you think about it here, you don't get very far before Velocicoaster has to be in the top 3 or 4. Like, because let's say Vengeance is 1 and Fury is 2. If you look at the way the bracket goes, if Velocicoaster isn't even number 3, then you've got to find rides from those other 2 groups that Fury and Vengeance came out of to be number 3. So Leviathan was the next highest ranked group in the Kernax group. Leviathan's not a number 3 coaster anymore. So the only other one that you could be looking at as potentially number 3 would be out of Fury's group. And guess what was number 3 in that group? Skyrush. Are we looking at Skyrush at number 3?
It was number 5 last year, and we see the Skyrush Renaissance happening in front of us. So
I don't think you can rule that out right now, sitting here at this very moment, right?
Wow. We're putting more thought to, I think, anybody. Because I think everyone voting probably just assumed that this would be a 1-2 matchup. And I'm not convinced that it is, but I'm not convinced that it's not.
That is not the case.
Yeah, either way, I'm not convinced either way that this is a 1-2 matchup. So that's a 50-50 shot right there.
Let's
well,
flip
Danny,
it on its head.
Let's reveal. Is this a 1-2?
Well, hold on. I got one more question for you.
Okay.
1-2 matchup. We're talking about Steel Vengeance being the number one, and where's Velocicoaster? Could this be a non-1-2 matchup with Velocicoaster as the winner and Steel Vengeance not even being number two? Would you give that possibility? We didn't even talk about that.
That's because I live in reality.
Because you know what that means? That means either Expedition G-Force or Untamed is number two, and Vengeance has dropped to at least number three.
And then, Danny, I quit.
Oh, boy.
Danny, tell us, is this a 1-2 matchup?
Andy, Steel Vengeance versus Velocicoaster is the 1-2 match.
What the hell? Holy shit. Holy shit. Okay.
So these are the top two coasters you're looking at right now. So now you've got some clarity on at least that part of it. And then you look at last year's numbers and this year's numbers, and I think it helps you none.
No.
Because both the first place and the second place number are within the realm of change for Steel Vengeance, right? And obviously Velocicoaster to be either number one or number two would have to get a number in that same realm. And the reviews have been good enough that I think it's believable that it could get either of those numbers. Again, we're talking, tenths of a percentage point, not even 10.
Right now, the decision is, and this is a complete, because we have nothing to go off of. Is this coaster in its first year, which we know coasters traditionally do better in this poll in their first year, for reasons unknown. We still don't even really know why. Like, we have ideas of why this happens, but we don't even know.
I really think it's the, hey, look what I rode effect.
Yeah, like we think we have ideas of why. Less writers,
but Vengeance has always been, But Vengeance for 3 years has been the outlier to that because Untamed couldn't do it. And Untamed had everything in its favor. Untamed had the second highest score in the history of the poll, and it was only beaten by Vengeance, which had the highest in the history of the poll. We've been down this road before with Steel Vengeance on the defending side of it, and it didn't happen that time. That's the one time it didn't happen.
I don't know. I just have to say Vengeance. I don't feel like Velocicoaster is a better ride. I don't feel like it's a better ride than Steel Vengeance. I don't like Untamed. I didn't think was a better ride either. Expedition G-Force I don't think is even close to a better ride than Vengeance. And I just feel like Velocicoaster, like it looks like a really cool ride, but there's something missing. Maybe I'm gonna have to go with Vengeance. I don't think we're seeing a new. I don't think we're seeing a new champion. As much as I want to see Danny have to announce a Raptor as champion of the Thrilling 32.
Oh God.
As much as I want to see that, I don't believe it.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I gotta find my Raymond Mann name tag here.
Well, I'll tell you what I got right here. I got right here from years ago, the Danny Screwed Raptor right there. This is from like year one of YouTube. I saved this paper.
This is like years of Thrilling 32 history on your screen right now.
I know.
Danny Screwed Raptor and Man T. Ray.
Arthur Poor should be doing from on location for us right now. But I don't even know where that stuff went. I had it at one point, but in the move, everything got lost. But this I saved. Yeah. The Danny screwed Raptor. Is this the year that Danny doesn't screw Raptor? Not the Raptor, not the best Raptor, but a Raptor. So
a Raptor.
I say no. I say no. I say no.
You say no.
I say no.
I wish we could get Chris Pratt in here. We get Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard in here to say something. Be really funny. What does he say? What does he say in the queue? He says, I say the Raptors are dangerous. They say put a roller coaster in the paddock. Ha! What could go wrong? Well, what could go wrong? Jurassic World Velocicoaster is the new number one, Andy. Steel Champion 2021 Jurassic World Velocicoaster. It's knocked off Steel Vengeance for the first time ever. Steel Vengeance is not number one in the Thrilling 32. We've got a new champ in the house on the belt, Jurassic World Velocicoaster.
Wow. That honestly, starting this,
I can't believe I am announcing that a ride has beaten Steel Vengeance.
Finally, 10 years, Danny, 10 years after you screwing Raptor for 10 consecutive years, a Raptor is now champion. That's outstanding.
Isn't it? And let me be completely honest. Let me be completely transparent here. In my personal rankings, I love Velocicoaster. It is absolutely a top 10, borderline top 5 ride for me, even considering Manta and Nemesis. It's right there. I think I have it at 6. We talked about during the media day how I thought Iron Gwazi and Basin and I felt that Iron Gwazi might have it. To you the next Velocicoaster again, I said, boy, I don't know, because I still really like Velocicoaster. I think Velocicoaster might still, giving it second thought and riding them on back-to-back days. I think Velocicoaster still has it in my book for Florida by the slightest amount. And it's not my number one. I don't put it above Steel Vengeance. Steel Vengeance just does so much, and there's so much to it. But like I said, if you listen to Coaster Radio and you heard my interview with them, and I'll say it right now, if you want a complete theme park ride experience from getting into line to getting out of the exit queue, going through the queue, waiting in a queue, going through the station, going through the ride with an immersively themed experience while riding a badass roller coaster the entire time, Velocicoaster is one of, if not the best ride experience in the world to do that. So while I do not have Velocicoaster ranked above Steel Vengeance on my personal rankings, it is right there in the discussion. And in terms of best overall ride experience, start to finish, I personally think that Velocicoaster is more than deserving of a title for at least 1 year here, and it will have the title for at least 1 year. 2021 Thrilling 32 Coaster Rumble Steel Champion is Universal Islands of Adventures Jurassic World Velocicoaster. What could possibly go wrong?
It's unbelievable. That's a tough one to get over.
This is something a lot of people were not expecting.
Well, speaking of getting over things, let's go to who won the poll.
All right. Well, let's go to it. And Andy, are you going to put the image up there?
Let me go. Yeah, I'm going to put it up right now.
All right. So there we go. So there is our final standings here. Andy, look at this. Isn't it amazing that the year Velocicoaster wins, that we've got Rob Dole winning the tournament here? But you pointed
out last time that there is a Maverick Rob on here too, and I didn't know if they were two separate people. So I know Maverick Rob, but I also know that he's got also Velocirob too. So
you brought that to our attention.
And
last
Danny,
week. So
if
we did do some research here.
If I'm not mistaken, we've disqualified people in the past for submitting multiple brackets.
We've disqualified winners.
Yes.
We've disqualified winners for having multiple brackets before. However, we did get advance notice from Mr. Rob Dole about the multiple bracket submissions.
Okay.
And we've got proof. I've got the message right here. I will read it to you. You can't read it on the screen there, but I will read it to you. So we did get advance notice that the 2 brackets were going to be coming in. And here's how the message reads. Maverick Rob never picks Maverick to win. That's why Steel Vengeance beats it, because Maverick Rob had Steel Vengeance versus Maverick in the championship.
And this is Rob Dole saying this, correct?
This is Rob Dole speaking to me via text message. Velocirob has blind faith in his favorite coaster, which is Velocicoaster, which has now won. And I said, okay, this is great.
Now, for backstory, Maverick Rob, if you remember, was that last year or the year before, he did not win because he did not pick Maverick to move on.
All he had to do was select Maverick over Twisted Colossus, and everything else remained the same, and he would have had enough points to win.
Which should have been an easy choice, but he did not choose Maverick. Continue.
Right. So this is multiple years here. I believe that was a Tournament of Terrible nomination for whenever we do actually get to do that, because I don't know that we've done that since that happened. So I said, okay, this is great. I said, we can have some fun with this, with the 2 brackets. We won't disqualify you because you notified us of the multiple brackets, but we did ask, which one would you like to be the official entry? We'll have fun with the 2, but which one do you want to be your official entry? And here, and I don't know if you can read it there, but it says Maverick Rob.
I can't really read it now.
It says Maverick Rob. So he selected Maverick Rob to be his official entry. So actually, believe it or not, Velocirob Dole is not technically the winner, as we can announce it here, because he did not select that bracket to be his official entry. So Rob Dole will officially have to finish in 22nd place, meaning that our actual champion will be Ryan Z, who is a Discord member of ours. So Ryan, congratulations. You are technically this year's Thrilling 32 champion with 131 points.
Well, not even technically. He is the champion because you could submit 16 brackets and find the right combinations here. Like every question mark you could figure out. So yeah,
that's right. The multiple brackets thing, some people have liked to had fun with that, and they always let us know, hey, just so you know, I'm submitting a real one and a funny one, or one for my child or my wife or whatever, but this one is my official one. Rob Dole had the courtesy to do that, and he selected Maverick Rob as his official bracket. And he followed it up with, either way, I don't care, they're both pretty bad. Well, Rob.
So wait. Let's wade through the bullshit. The bottom line is that Maverick Rob didn't choose Maverick to win, costing him the title. And now Velocirob didn't choose Velocicoaster to making it so that he didn't win the title. Ladies and gentlemen, you can't write this shit.
No, and let's be completely honest. We put him up to this none. This is none of our. Arthur Poor, that was all Andy. Raymond Man, that was me. This wasn't neither of us. This is all Rob Dole. So let's give Rob Dole a round of applause.
Thank you, Rob, for making our lives more enjoyable at your expense.
We couldn't come up with something this funny. First, he screws himself by not picking Maverick. Then he spends time on the Maverick Rob bracket and just flies through the Velocirob bracket and would have ended up winning with that bracket. And he had what he calls blind faith in his favorite coaster, a Velocicoaster, which is now won. we said I don't know how we're gonna follow up the Arthur Poor and Raymond Mann stuff with anything nearly as good, but Rob Dole's done it for us.
You've done it for us, buddy. That is outstanding. That is outstanding.
That is the best. That is hashtag best in the world right there.
Seriously, that. Wow. I just.
So Ryan, I eventually. Yeah, exactly. So Ryan, you can talk to Alex Baker, and I owe you a thrilling 32 championship magnet in the next 3 to 5 business years. And Rob Dole. Rob,
eventually get out.
Alex finally got his from last month when I shipped off his next batch of magnets. And Rob Dole, I owe you probably
you get nothing
and a Maverick magnet. You lose. So I don't know, Andy. There's all this discussion. There's all this discussion about how good Iron Gwazi is, and we'll maybe see Iron Gwazi next year. There's the old Iron Gwazi magnet.
I'm just hoping Rob Dole doesn't love that one and becomes Gwazi Rob, and then doesn't pick it to win again. Oh my God.
Oh my goodness. Well, I think I have a headache from laughing so hard.
You can't make this shit up. You just can't.
This is why.
And you thought I put him up to it too. Like I remember you texting me.
I asked you when I was scoring that bracket. I was like, I need to ask you, did you put Rob Dole up to something? Because I didn't possibly think that something like that could happen organically. But here we are. Okay, we still got a top 50. We are blessed. We do. We are blessed with just amazing occurrences here at the COASTER.net. So you don't get stuff like this over at Coaster Studios, do you?
No. In other polls, you get rankings you can't even decipher. Like, is this a combined list? Is it not a combined list? What the hell's going on here? Well, we just get fooled.
I have no idea.
Oh my God. Okay, let's go to the top 50.
All right. Well, that's true. So they don't know what rides and what brackets to pick. So,
yeah.
Right.
Well,
so we've got some top 50 lists to go through. Again, congratulations to Voyage and Holiday World, Islands of Adventure, Universal, and Velocicoaster, and Ryan and Rob Dole. Congratulations to both of you guys. All right, so let's go through our top 50 list. Let's start with the wood list here. Starting at number 50, we've got Oscar's Wacky Taxi. At number 49, we've got Zippin' Pippin'. And number 48 is the Comet from Great Escape. Number 47, one that you've ridden that I have not, the New Mexico Rattler, coming in.
That's interesting. I think this might have been the first year I actually ranked it.
Oh, well, there we go.
There you go.
And number 46 is Wooden Warrior. Number 45 is Excalibur from Funtown Splashdown in Saco, Maine. Number 44 is a ride that I think ought to be a little bit higher. That's the Cornball Express from Indiana Beach. I think that ride ought to be a little bit closer to 32 there. Number 43, Timber Terror from Silverwood. Number 42 is Kentucky Rumbler. Number 41, Lightning Racer from Hershey Park. All right, next slide, we'll get into the low end of the thrilling 32 here. Number 40 is Apocalypse, the ride from Six Flags Magic Mountain. Number 39, American Thunder. Number 38, White Lightning from Fun Spot in Orlando. Number 37, the Grand National from Blackpool Pleasure Beach. Number 36 is the Knoebels Twister, which we talked about in the selection show. Just way too low and absolutely a travesty of justice, not at least being in the thrilling 32. And number 35 is the Beast, Andy. So, the Beast fell out, but not very far from 31 to 35, I think. Now, but it's in prime position with the retrack to come back up next year, so don't get too excited. Number 34 is Rorosaurus from Storyland in New Hampshire. Number 33, the first ride out, is the Coney Island Cyclone. So last year's 32 Hall of Fame. It seems like the perennial 33 years. And number 32 is Q Cullen from Tato Park over in Ireland. And number 31 is Mindblower from Fun Spot Kissimmee. So now we get into a slide that's a completely thrilling 32 rides. Number 30, Ruche Bannon from Tivoli Gardens, which dropped considerably from last year. So
thank God. I don't even know if it's a roller coaster, to be honest with you. It
Well,
could be a
it's
flat
a,
ride.
it's a side it's a side friction without upstop. So would you even count it out?
Could be a flat ride for all we know.
Well, there we go. Number 29 is the Raven from Holiday World. Number 28 is Hades 360. Number 27, Tremors, the other Silverwood wooden coaster. Number 26 is where we see Texas Stingray come in from SeaWorld San Antonio. So, Andy, last year was number 33. This year, number 26. So is Texas Stingray maybe one of the oddball examples of a ride that actually rises as more people ride it? Because we still don't know a ton of people that have ridden it. I will hopefully get to go ride it this year. So I think Texas Stingray might be one to keep an eye on to continue moving.
Yeah, I think San Antonio is a hard place to get to if you're not doing a Texas trip, and not everyone does a Texas trip every single year. So
Yep.
I think Texas Stingray is definitely one to watch to make some jumps, and or maybe not. Maybe people go down there and say, it's okay, but it's not better than the number 24 ranked ride here, Prowler, because that should be a top 10 ride.
Well, yeah, it should be. Number 25 is Shivering Timbers. Number 24 is Prowler. Number 23 is Legend from Holiday World. Number 22 is Thunderhead. And number 21 is Joris Endadrock from Efteling. So we've got a little bit of run on GCIs here. Texas Stingray, Prowler, Thunderhead, Joris Endadrock. Even Legend had some GCI retracking. So, we had a little bit of a cluster there of GCI rides. Interestingly enough, though, no Renegade in that cluster yet, which is a ride that obviously we know moved up. And Andy, no Renegade on the next slide either, meaning Renegade top 10 ride this year. So in number 20 is Ravine Flyer 2. Number 19 is Colossus from Heide Park in Germany. Number 18, Goliath from Six Flags Great America. Number 17, Boardwalk Bullet. Number 16, Wodan Timber Coaster. Number 15 is where we see Rampage come in, a ride that upset a lot of people's brackets. Number 14 is Troy. Number 13 is Balder. Number 12, Mystic Timbers. And number 11 is where we see Final Four cart coaster Wildfire from Colmar.
Well, that discussion looks really silly from last week.
Doesn't it? That looks like a very silly discussion all of a sudden. And Andy, I want to point out here, Wildfire, because of that all-European group in the wood coasters, Wildfire, Balder, Troy, and Wodan were the top 4 there. A lot of people had Colossus in that discussion as well. Incorrectly had Colossus in the top 4. Those rides 11 through 19 were where you find those 5 rides. So those rides very, very, very close.
Interesting.
All right, let's get to the top 10 here. At number 10 is where we see Renegade from Valley Fair. At number 9 is the Coaster from Peony Playland. So a drop from number 4 back down to number 9, which in my personal opinion, still a little bit high for the Coaster at Peony Playland, but a much more reasonable ranking. 4 definitely a little bit too high for that ride. 9 probably still a little bit too high. I think it probably belongs in the teens somewhere, but again, still a very, very strong ranking out of Coaster. Number 8, we see Ghost Rider from Knott's Berry Farm. So Ghost Rider continues to climb. It climbs again.
It's funny because I see people on Twitter all the time talking about Ghost Rider and saying that this is like one of the most criminally underranked rides in America right now. And it
was number 10 last year, so it keeps going up.
I think we're eventually going to see Ghost Rider in the top 10, in the top 5. I really believe that.
2 years ago, it was 17. Last year, it was number 10. This year, number 8. So it stands to reason that Ghost Rider will continue to climb. And yours truly, hopefully going to ride Ghost Rider again in just a couple of weeks on a California trip. So certainly looking forward to riding Ghost Rider again. At number 7 is where we see Boulder Dash from Lake Compounds. It's kind of settled in right there in the lower half of the top 10 the last few years. Number 6, we see Phoenix from Knoebels Amusement Resort. And number 5 is where we find Gold Striker from California's Great America. So Gold Striker cracking the top 5. I'm not sure here. I'm going to go back here real quick to see if that's the first time Gold Striker number 6 in 2014. It was number 10 in 2015. 16. It was number 7. Andy, this might actually be the highest ranking ever for Gold Striker, which is pretty interesting.
It's ridiculous.
I know it is ridiculous. It should have been the top 5 way before the year 2021. That's for sure. At number 4 is El Toro from Six Flags Great Adventure, so back up from number 5 last year. So our top 4 that has been the perennial top 4 for the last several years that was broken by Coaster last year is kind of re-solidified here. El Toro at number 4, Outlaw Run at number 3 from Silver Dollar City, Dollywood's Lightning Rod at number 2, and of course our champion number 1, The Voyage from Holiday World.
The Lightning Rod, I don't know, Lightning Rod was number 2. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So clearly the whole conversion not factoring in
this year. So
any big surprises for you? I mean, we commented on rides like Cornball and Twister that are too low, Prowler perhaps being too low. I think Coaster's maybe a little high, but it's not criminally high. But I mean, the Wood list, not a lot of surprises for me.
I think Renegade on that is the biggest surprise. I think 10 is a little overranked for Renegade.
It's a touch high.
It's a tad high. Like, I don't even like Wood coasters, and it's not in my top 10. So, and I like Renegade. It's a fine ride. There's just top 10 is a little too on the nose for me.
Yeah, it's a little high, but I think much like Coaster, I don't think it's criminally high. I mean, I think I have it in my teens, right there with Coaster, so I'm okay with the ranking. That certainly threw a lot of people off because a lot of people had Rampage, which was at number 15, coming out of that group instead. So
I do think Rampage is a better ride. I think Prowler is a better ride.
I have Rampage higher. I have Prowler higher.
I don't understand what's going on there. Like that's a tough one to figure out. And we said, having looked at some of the rankings, we said there's some real conundrums of why things are happening here. That you throw it into the little algorithm, you throw it in there, you put all the data in, you put all the polls in, and it just spits out stuff to you. And there's some real question marks of why things are happening. I'm sure if you really broke it down and went ballot by ballot, you would figure it out. But
if I did the old by hand method, which would take months and months and months to do, I could probably provide some insight. But like you said, I just plug them into the algorithm.
We'll just right now say that there's some real question marks of why things are happening, and we're happy with that. So.
Well, I mean, it certainly makes it more interesting to talk about and more challenging for the viewers for sure. So in that regard, I do enjoy it. All right. What do you say we talk about the top 50 steel coasters? Because we've got a lot to figure out in the steel coasters here.
Yeah.
All right. So let's start at number 50. We've got Joker from Six Flags Discovery Kingdom. Then we got Schwerdiskärnen from Hansha Park at number 49. Diamondback from Kings Island, 48. And right above it, Candemonium at 47. So Candemonium virtually unmoved from last year. If I look at last year's top 20 steel, Candemonium was at 46. So essentially same spot.
That's not surprising to me. I do think Diamondback's a little underrated. 48's really low for me.
I think both Diamondback and I rank them right next to each other, but I think that they both should be quite a bit higher.
I rank Diamondback significantly higher than Candemonium. And I do think both of them are underranked though. So
yes. Yep. A ride that you probably do not think is underranked is at 46, which is the new Texas Giant. Number 45 is Cannibal, which was number 32 last year. So Cannibal dropped off quite a bit. Also a ride that was in last year, the Ultimate from Lightwater Valley at number 44. Flug der Dämon from Haida Park, number 43. I Speed from Mirabilandia. Mirabilandia in Italy is number 42. Also dropping out of the Thrilling 32, and we talked about how there's 9 rides that dropped out of the Thrilling 32 from last year. Wonder Woman Golden Lasso Coaster from Fiesta, Texas at number 41. A couple more rides that dropped out here on this slide. Here at number 40 is where we see Orion from Kings Island coming and drop all the way down to number 40. Time Traveler, another ride that dropped out at number 39. Lek Coaster from Legendia in Poland at number 38. So, that's one that we've seen in the top 50 before. I haven't seen it in Thrilling 32.
No.
But we've seen it in the top 50 before. So it's interesting to see that get a boost in the same year that some of these other European rides got a boost as well. So is this a ride that maybe we want to keep an eye on in the coming years to maybe crack into 32? I don't know. We'll have to see there. Number 37, Black Mamba from Fantasyland. Number 36, Montu. Again, 2 more inverted coasters that dropped out from last year. Number 35, Railblazer. Number 34, Twisted Cyclone from Six Flags Over Georgia. That ride dropped out, as did number 33, Goliath from Six Flags Over Georgia, which to me is the probably the largest travesty in the 10-year history of the Thrilling 32. The fact that Goliath is so low, and the fact that it's not even in the Thrilling 32 anymore. For whatever reason, I have no idea why.
I don't understand it. It's probably the best B&M hyper. It's maybe, depending on if you count Skyrush as a hyper, and so like Skyrush, Magnum, Goliath are all in my top 10 as hypers. Like, why it's sitting at 33, I don't get the hate for Goliath at all. Like, why? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't understand it at all. There's a lot of well-traveled fighters that rank it very high, so I'm not quite understanding why Goliath does not do well in this poll. It makes no sense to me.
Another mystery.
Number 32 is Goliath from Wallaby Holland. Yeah, that is for sure. Number 32 is Goliath from Wallaby Holland. Number 31 is Behemoth from Canada's Wonderland. Let's get into the top 30 here. Number 30, we've got Phantom's Revenge. Quite a bit of a drop from Phantom's Revenge here. It's always kind of been in the middle of the pack here, but drops to number 30. Number 29 is Silver Star from Europa Park. Number 28, Superman the Ride from Six Flags New England, dropping again this year. This would be something a former champion perhaps not even be in the Thrilling 32 next year if this trend continues here, especially with rides like Iron Gwazi and Pantheon and a few others. I think it's
There's a real possibility there. Yeah.
And
now here's a question: have we ever had a champion drop out completely?
No.
Like even from the beginning years when we had no, we're not even close.
No, I mean, pretty much, Leviathan is maybe the closest being in the teens, but, Bizarro to Superman. Certainly that's the one there. Even on the wood side, everything's still top 10. And if you take out Boulder Dash, that's still our top 3.
Yeah.
With Voyage, Outlaw, and Lightning Rod. So, and Fury still going strong. G-Force still going strong. I-305 continues to be, right around the top 10. So, that would be something there. So now we start to see some of these rides that come into the Thrilling 32 for the first time. So Hyperion comes in at number 27. So people thinking Hyperion going to do very well. Not the case here, just barely making it in. The Smiler from Alton Towers at number 26. Mako holding at number 25. At number 24 is where we see Superman El Ultimo Escape from Six Flags Mexico coming in there. So a rather strong showing for that ride in its first year in the Thrilling 32. Number 23, Millennium Force dropping to 23. Andy, I think that might be the lowest ranking ever for Millennium Force. Another ride that I think vastly underranked.
Yeah, it's in my top 10. But that's we see Steel Vengeance and Maverick moving up, and I think people are taking it out on Millennium Force.
I think so. Because clearly Steel Vengeance and Maverick have not been affected that much. But Millennium Force seems to be dropping. Don't really understand why. At number 22, Medusa Steel Coaster, also sort of from Six Flags Mexico. At number 21, Shambhala from Portaventura in Spain. Top 20 now. At number 20 is where we see Ride to Happiness. So Ride to Happiness having a very good showing here. Fly coming in at number 19 from Fantasyland. Helix. We talked about Helix.
Another silly discussion.
Right. Hindsight making that a very silly discussion, it seems. Helix was 38 last year and out. Previously, it had been a borderline top 5 and a bona fide top 5 ride at some time. So this year, kind of splitting the difference at number 18, and that seems to be a more correct spot for Helix. I think that's where it will probably. Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably between 10 and 20. It should definitely be on this screen somewhere, I would think.
I think so. And, throw everything out the window in 2 years, hopefully, when we ride it, because then it'll, then all bets are off. Who knows where it'll go from there.
Yeah, probably
number 7. Yeah. Number 17 is Wicked Cyclone from Six Flags New England. And number 16 is where we see Zadra. Now, this is interesting because of the discussion we had with Iron Gwazi. And I said in the selection show, I thought Zadra might be a good indication for where we see Iron Gwazi go. I might have to retract that statement because I do not think Iron Gwazi will be that low. Now I will say this, perhaps Zadra will continue to rise with more riders, but Zadra coming in at number 16, and I don't know if that feels right to me or not.
Well, it's in an area that not a lot of people are going to get to. So,
but it's within some of these other middle of the pack RMCs because at number 15 we've got Leviathan from Canada's Wonderland, but then we go on a little mini run of RMCs here. At 14 is Twisted Colossus. Number 13 is Iron Rattler, down a few spots from where it historically is, and number 12, Twisted Timbers. So it's in another cluster of RMCs there. Perhaps Zadra will move up a few spots in the coming years. And at number 11, one spot outside of the top 10, a very, very strong showing for the King of England, Nemesis from Alton Towers. All right, top 10 time, Andy.
Wow.
Here we go. This is a stacked top 10 if there ever was one. At number 10, Intimidator 305.
Ooh, right there, that's interesting too, to see that ranking for I-305.
Yeah. Number 9, Terran from Fantasyland, dropping down a couple of spots, down to number 9. A couple of rides jumping it. Number 8 is Skyrush from Hershey Park, so not the number 5 ranking that it was last year, but still very, very strong. So Skyrush holding strong there, and maybe giving people a little bit of confidence next year to put Skyrush through, that maybe the number 5 last year wasn't as much of a fluke as we thought it was. Maybe Skyrush is here to stay in the top 10. Number 7, X2 from Six Flags Magic Mountain. Look at that, X2 jumping up a couple of spots. So X2 firmly in the top 10. And right above X2 at number 6 from Cedar Point, Maverick. Maverick continuing to be very, very strong here. Once again, Maverick was number 7 last year, and X2 was number 8. So each of those jumping up a spot and passing Terran in the process, which was number 6 last year. So a little bit of shuffling here in the middle part of the top 10. All right, and as we suspected, Untamed dropping to number 5, basically by process of Velocicoaster being inserted in the top 4 from last year, basically all bumping down one spot with Velocicoaster coming in at number 1. So Untamed is number 5. Expedition G-Force drops, however. It does swap spots with Fury 325, so Expedition G-Force drops below Fury to number 4 from its number 2 spot last year. Fury actually holds at number 3. It was below Vengeance and G-Force last year. This year is above G-Force, still below Vengeance, but Fury 325 maintains its number 3 ranking here from Carowinds. At number 2 is Steel Vengeance from Cedar Point with its first ever defeat in the thrilling 32 here, coming at the hands of Universal's Islands of Adventure Jurassic World Velocicoaster. The new number 1, Andy. It's been a while since we've said that. It's been since 2018 when Steel Vengeance knocked off Fury 325. To be the man, you've got to beat the man, and Velocicoaster did it. Velocicoaster beat the man, and now for at least this year, Velocicoaster is the man at number 1.
And I will say this, this is a stacked top 10 here.
Is this a good list or what?
Like, I tell you what, sometimes you see these polls and you look at the top 10 and it's pretty much every other poll that I look at. And I'm like, and I just
Got like
look at it,
Twisted
I'm like,
Colossus and like
what the hell are you thinking? Like, that's not a top
like
10. That's a
Colossus and Twisted Timbers and Phantom's Revenge. Like those are great rides, but they're not top 10.
they're not top 10. And it's almost every other poll that I read. Like, there aren't many polls that I'm not looking at that come out. And I'm always befuddled as to what the hell? How is this, like, how do you get to this point? And I, you know, the wood side on the top 10 is pretty solid. I think on our side, there's a few anomalies here and there where it's kind of like, oh, okay, like what Renegade, okay, that's a little strange. Maybe Coaster at Peony is a little strange. I don't know. But I'll tell you what, this top 50 steel, this is a stacked list. And you can make arguments about here or there, what's here, you know, moving things back and forth. But I'll tell you what, I think you're hard pressed to find a ride that you can make a definitive case that absolutely should be in this top 10 over one of these rides. And there's not a whole lot of rides that you could do that with and be like, hey, you know, why is that? Like I said, you can argue over position and where things are, but you look at these 10 rides as a collective, and that's probably the 10 best steel. That's probably the 10 best roller coasters in the world right there. Like, honestly, I can't.
And I think you could even carry it down into the mid-teens until we get to like the Zadra, Wicked Cyclone, Helix, Flyer. I mean, Nemesis, Twisted Timbers, Iron Rattler, Twisted Colossus, Leviathan, Zadra. I mean, even those, I mean, yeah. I think if you were to replace one of these top 10 rides, I think that group of rides there is probably the first set of rides that you would start naming off. Yeah. You know, Millennium Force, I think some would name in there, but I mean, I would say that even our, you know, the top half of the Thrilling 32, you know, the top 15 to 20, I think there's very, very little argument to be had as far as what rides are included. Now, we can argue over 1 and 2 or 2 and 3 or 9 and 10 or 10 and 11. You can argue over a spot or two, I think. But when it comes to this is the group, this is like you said, the collection of top 10, top 12, top 15 rides that this list has, you'd be hard pressed to find someone who disagrees with more than 1 or 2 of that entire group. I mean, this is an exceptional list.
Yeah, that's something to put on your wall, I think, and be like, hey, if I want to go ride the best roller coasters in the world, if someone comes up to me and says, hey, what are the rides I should go ride? I'm handing them this list most likely. There's not a ride on here that I'm like, oh no, you shouldn't go ride that one. Like, there's sometimes I read some of these polls and it's like, I would not even suggest someone bother with that ride. But this is here's the list. Go ride these rides and you're going to have a good time and you're going to know what good coasters are after that. So I think that top 50, the top 10, especially the top 50, that's a solid list. I challenge anyone to find a better list than that.
I'm looking at my list right now. If you take out Manta and Nemesis, which is still at number 11 here, and you go starting with Steel Vengeance at number 3, I go Vengeance, Fury, Untamed, Velocicoaster, Iron Gwazi, Maverick, X2, and then I have Superman in there, Apollo, Goliath from over Georgia, G-Force, Millennium Force, Terran, the Steel Lightning Rod, I-305. So, and I think your list looks very similar to that with some of the European rides not on there that you haven't ridden. Yeah, I know you have Skyrush in there. I have Skyrush a little bit lower.
My top 10, Steel Vengeance is there, Fury's there, Maverick's there, X2 is there, Skyrush is there, I-305 is right outside of my top 10. And like it's a good list. And I'm not one to say I understand people love Expedition G-Force. People love Untamed. Like, those are rides that look fantastic to me. That should be on a top 10. Like, and I'm sorry when people start talking about, like stuff like in Japan or Steel Dragon, or I'm just like, they just don't look like a top 10 ride to me. Like, I'm sorry, they just don't. Like,
the only ride to me out of Japan that looks like that it could really be something is Hakugai, just because it's a big RMC sort of in the same family as like a Steel Vengeance or a Zadra or an Iron Gwazi. Certainly hope to ride that one day, but that's so difficult to get over there for some of our folks. Maybe one day we'll see it over here, but boy, what a tremendous list of roller coasters on both sides of things, really.
Yeah. So another year is in the books.
Yeah. What do you got here? Final thoughts from you.
Man, I tell you what, there's a lot to get through. 10 years of this. I always think to myself at the beginning, I'm like, what the hell are we going to talk about that we haven't already said after 10 years? And always there's stuff to talk about. It's fun.
Velocicoaster gave us a lot to talk about this year. Unsure all the way through, but it pulled it off. It pulled off the feat that several others in the past have tried, and it did not do. And I got news for you. And we've talked about it already a little bit, but Iron Gwazi is going to make this very interesting next year, I think, too. So,
and I'm not altogether convinced that Steel Vengeance is just automatically out of the discussion either. That I think we're going to see the settling in of Velocicoaster. We might see that first year bump for Iron Gwazi. This is a whole new poll now because you don't know what's going to happen. That we've kind of settled into this Voyage Steel Vengeance routine, and I think moving forward, that at least on the steel side, that's been completely blown up. And Danny Miller, who knows what Cedar Point is going to do come 2023. And we might be seeing a shakeup on the wood side too. I'm thinking maybe, hopefully, we'll see a shakeup on the wood side.
I don't know. There's a lot of exciting things on the horizon, and with Iron Gwazi coming in, and like you said, the settling of Velocicoaster, because it was we talked about this in the selection show. About 38% of voters this year had ridden Velocicoaster, and a lot more have ridden Steel Vengeance. And we know a lot of people are going to ride Velocicoaster this year for the first time.
Well,
so it's not out of the realm of possibility that we could see Velocicoaster fall and see Steel Vengeance come back up.
And the problem is we're talking about minuscule win percentages still. We're still talking about the slimmest of margins. So even if 10% more people go ride Velocicoaster, those 10% could greatly impact where Velocicoaster ultimately falls. So, maybe we'll see a new champ next year. I don't know. But here's what I'm not doing. I'm not throwing away any side plates anytime soon. So
no, Well, and now this is going to make the Coaster Rumble all that more challenging now, right? Because the vast majority of people had Voyage and Steel Vengeance as the champions. Some people had the faith, including our winners, to go out on a limb with Velocicoaster, but it was well under 50% of the people who selected Velocicoaster to win the tournament. So now you're going to convince some of the Steel Vengeance people to go for Velocicoaster. You're going to have some people who want to stick with Steel Vengeance and think it's a one-year thing. You're going to throw Iron Gwazi into the mix, and you'll have no idea where that's going to come in. So the contest itself, which, let's be honest, part of the reason we went to the Coaster Rumble format was because the contest had gotten just a little bit stagnant the last couple of years, with Voyage and Vengeance both winning for a couple of years in a row. Now, all of a sudden, we've got the Coaster Rumble to keep things interesting. But now, I think that steel bracket is wide open as far as who can win it now, because we've got a couple of coasters that are going to be right there in the discussion for the foreseeable future. And even if it is a Steel Vengeance or a Velocicoaster, there's other rides that are going to be cracking this top 10 here. So there's certainly going to be a lot of jumbling in the coming years here. And you're looking ahead to Cedar Point, putting in something big here, the possibility of maybe not getting something big in a couple of years. You know, there's a whole lot of things that might be coming down the pipeline that is going to make this this steel bracket anything but certain here for the foreseeable future, I think, which is a very, very good thing. So we're excited for that. We're excited and very thankful for all of you guys joining us once again for the Thrilling 32. Like we always say, this is our favorite time of year. We like to have fun with this. We hope you guys do too. And hopefully you didn't get too frustrated and you enjoyed our rankings. And we thank you guys for your support each and every year, because this is our favorite thing that we do year after year here. It's been 10 years, Andy, since we started this.
I can't get over that it's been 10 years. Like, it's just crazy to me that we've been doing, like, we haven't been doing the YouTube show for 10 years, but we've been doing
and
the whole.
How it's grown.
Yeah, and it's just crazy to me. Record breaking every year. So as always, thank you for joining us here on the Thrilling 32. I'm, of course, Andrew Barchak from Chicago, Illinois.
And I'm Danny Miller from Binghamton, New York.
Right on, right, Warriors.
Thank you guys. Well done.